and this is Real Talk. Here, we're showing some of the best independent films Miami has to offer. First, we'll be screening the film, and after holding an exclusive interview with their creators. On today's episode, we're showing Vincent, a gritty film depicting how it feels to have the world suddenly turn against you. Enjoy.
Hey, honey.
Hey, Vince. Hope I didn't catch you at a bad time.
No, I was just getting some food. What's up?
Can you come down to the station? A couple of the outlets in the interrogation room were being funky.
Yeah, I just finished up at work. I can make a stop.
Right in here. It's that one, and it'll be this one. Oh, I'm sorry, Vincent. Me and my partner, Ward.
Hey.
So, Vince, how's the old lady doing?
She's good. She's out of town right now, so I'm on my own for a bit.
Nice. Is, Maeve out of town, too? Does she still want to dance when she grows up?
She's just at that age where she doesn't talk to me. Look, I appreciate it, but I'm trying to catch up with you, not chat about my daughter.
The disconnect. Does that make you angry?
Dude, what did I just say? I plead the fifth. Vincent, do you want to come over here and take a seat?
Yeah, Vince, let's take a seat. Yeah, come on, man. So how do you interact with Maeve?
How do I interact with her? Hugs, fist bumps, high fives?
When you get annoyed with her, irritated, angry even, how are you with her?
What kind of a question is that?
Well, she's saying that she was hurt.
Abused.
Abused? No. I'm sorry, I need to go.
Vince. I need you to sit down.
I have to go.
Vince, I understand. These situations are not easy. They're difficult, man, for any parent. Just one more moment. Just one more. Thank you.
Why can't I see her?
Well, Vince, the thing is...
Why can't I see my daughter?
Vince, Maeve is saying that, she's saying that it was you.
That's why we're here. Have a conversation about it. You're not under arrest.
I wanted to go about this nicely, but there's something you're not telling us.
I've never put a finger on her. She's my daughter.
We know Beth wants a divorce. Now, Maeve, you can't see her. You can't interact with her. None of that. But she didn't specifically say in the papers why.
I can't lose my family.
Vince, I think you already have.
I'm a good father.
I think you're one of two people that I've seen in these situations.
I'm a good father.
Someone who has done something so bad that they don't want to defend themselves.
I'm a good father.
Or someone that has diluted the way that they think to justify what they've done.
I'm a good father!
I can't lose my daughter.
Welcome back. We're here with the Vincent director, RT. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here on the inaugural episode, and I'm very excited to kick this off.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, I'm originally from Pennsylvania. Now I'm down here in Miami for school at the University of Miami. I'm studying motion pictures, and then I also have a minor in advertising. And I thought that was interesting because I've always been kind of interested in commercial filmmaking and how that process goes about and what the pre-production almost looks like in terms of going from an idea and how to market it to consumers into translating that onto something different than narrative film. I think commercial advertising is definitely, something that I might like to go down. And that might be a potential career opportunity in the future. It's just that it's been something I've been very interested in.
What attracted you to film?
I would say watching movies with my family. And that's what originally got me into it. And in high school, I acted. And, my mom was like, I'm not paying you to go to school for acting, but I knew that I wanted to continue my education. And so the best way to do that was to study film, because I was already writing at the time, and I was taking film classes in my high school, but I hadn't even thought about going to school for film. And it grew on me, and it quickly became something I was very, very passionate about. And I wanted to dedicate 100% of myself to filmmaking in college versus, studying something like music or business. I would have had my interests split, and I wanted to put 100% of myself into something that I'm very passionate about.
Mm-hmm. And you put your passion into action this past semester with your film Vincent. Where did the idea come from?
So the idea for Vincent really stemmed out of what I was seeing in the news. I remember seeing one headline from, I think it was a boy in Indiana, and he was in high school, and 8 girls accused him of rape and sexual assault and all these terrible, terrible acts. And obviously, you want to support the victim. And then 2 months later, however, he was proven that he was innocent and everybody had lied. And I've seen the same things with different football players and different baseball players and these prominent people where it affects and really kind of kills their career, and it can really impact their family, their professional aspirations, their mental health. And I thought that it was something that needed to be spoken. It needed to be spoken about. I took films like Shawshank Redemption and The Fugitive as inspiration because it was there as a background element, but I wanted to promote it forward as this idea as a foreground thing that was a driving aspect of the story. And I really wanted to focus on that because I thought it hadn't been focused on before.
Of course, and those are definitely some sensitive topics. And how did you build a crew that you knew you could trust with your vision?
Well, Alex Patriotis was a fantastic director of photography to work with. And working with Olivia Campanian, she has a background in criminology and law enforcement through her major here at the university. She had us reaching out to different police departments and seeing what opportunities we could have there to film. And ultimately, we worked with the South Miami Police Department on a scene that was ultimately cut from the film. But it was shot on the first day, and it set the tone very nicely for how filming was going to go and getting our actors in the right headspace to touch on these sensitive topics. And I thought, her experience and insight was invaluable to the project.
Of course, one of the biggest challenges that independent films struggle with is funding the project. And you and the Vincent crew were able to gain $3,000. How did you guys manage that?
We had an Indiegogo campaign set up where we were constantly marketing it and advertising it and trying to get people involved through different fundraisers and different events and different opportunities. And that's how we actually met our executive producer, Patricia Boosfield, who made a very generous donation to our cause. But then we also had another opportunity with a group of lawyers out in California where they provide support and legal counsel to people in situations similar to Vincent. And they offered us $5,000 for the project. And it was a very humbling experience to think that anybody would believe in us that much to give us that kind of support and that private equity. But ultimately we turned down that offer because there were certain changes to the script that would have had to have been made, and that was not something that I was comfortable doing, and I thought that would have compromised the integrity of the character and ultimately the story that we were trying to tell. But again, it was a very generous opportunity on their part, and it was very humbling to receive that.
The fact they were able to almost obtain $5,000 is just a testament to the film's potential. So could you paint us a picture of how it was to be on set with such talent?
Absolutely. Well, I'm on set. To start off, we flew in our lead actor, Damian Kennedy. We flew him in from Texas, and we flew in his daughter in the film, Sophia Lang. We flew her in from New York. So our first and foremost duty at the start of every day was making sure that they got the set all right and making sure that their transportation was handled to and from their hotels and ensuring that everybody was arriving to set safely. But then also, working with Damien was a fantastic opportunity because he brought another sense of rawness to his performance as Vincent that I don't think would have been attainable with many other actors because he has a young daughter and a wife of his own, and in our conversations, even in his audition, that was something that he was mentioning as a source of inspiration for his performance. And I found that really grew as we continued in our discussions and in our rehearsals. And I thought that brought a very interesting element to the character that I had not foreseen, and it was a fantastic opportunity to work with somebody like that.
Of course, and even though Vincent premiered 5 months ago, it already has an award under its belt. In the past spring 2024 University of Miami Canes Film Festival, the film won for Best Original Score. So how did you and the film's composer, Clip Lester, bring it together?
Well, Clip Lester is a fantastic person to work with, and this was my first time working with him, and I will say that I will work with him for as long as possible because it was a pleasure, and bouncing ideas off of him and him bouncing ideas off of me and coming to this middle ground where we had the silences that really made the swells what they could be. And I think that was part of the genius on his part was having those silences, ensuring that the beginning is almost silent outside of the practical sounds that we can hear from, say, the car and the phone call. And I think that made an opportunity for everything to hit a little bit deeper and add more credence to the score as it developed, because then it complemented the words and the emotional arc that Vincent was going through. And we used the album The Untold by Secession Studios as a form of inspiration. And working with him, like I said, was a fantastic opportunity, and I will continue to do so.
And obviously, a lot of things had to go right to bring the film to premiere at the Cannes Film Festival and win the award. But of course, for every indie film, there are those challenges. So could you expand more on some of the film's greatest obstacles and how did you surpass them?
Absolutely. So one of the problems that we faced was we weren't able to get into an actual police interrogation room. It was the ones that we viewed, we wouldn't have had that much control over the environment to make the film what we felt it needed to be, even though it might have been more authentic being shot in a police station. It wouldn't have served the ultimate goal of the production. So what ended up happening, that's why we shot in Studio A here at the School of Communication. We were also considering shooting at a soundstage and a standing set for a police station, but bringing in our actors from out of state cost most of our budget, and so that wasn't really in the cards for us. And so then as a part of our brainstorming sessions, it was on the recommendation of Alex Patriotis, our director of photography, to shoot in Studio A here at the School of Communication. And we moved the set around to make the room feel smaller than it was. And in one shot with the camera as the place of the outlet and making that come to fruition, I thought that was fantastic on Alex's part. But then also we faced problems such as timing. And we under-budgeted the amount of time necessary to shoot as much as we wanted, and ultimately we had a lot of material cut from the final product because it didn't serve the story and we didn't have the time to create the shots and to create those moments between those characters that would have been necessary to serve that dialogue and those relationships. So that was ultimately cut from the final film. But I believe our editor, Sabrina Lessons, she did a fantastic job cutting it together and making this come into a fantastic piece of work.
Yeah, and even in the film, some iconic Miami locations are even featured. You have Miami's Best Pizza and obviously University of Miami Studio A. How else did the city of Miami bring your visions to life?
Yes, so like I mentioned, we actually had a scene shot at the South Miami Police Department precinct that was ultimately cut from the final product. But we had Professor Ali Habashi navigating us through that experience and providing resources as an intermediary between us and the precinct to make sure that we had this partnership going that could be beneficial to both parties. And he also provided some on-set support for us as well. In the shot that I mentioned previously where the camera is on the outlet and it's from the outlet's point of view and all three characters are shown, we had a light stand hidden directly behind Damian Kennedy's body, Vincent's body. And that light stand was crucial to getting the proper lighting to the scene and having the dark shadows on the bottom half of the face that we ultimately wanted. And he gave us that inspiration and help to make sure that happened. And he was a fantastic help to the production and making sure that it came to fruition.
Of course, and making those really incredible shots definitely required some high-level equipment. Where'd you get it from?
So we got the equipment from the equipment room here at the School of Communication, which proved invaluable, absolutely, as any production knows. And we also used Studio A in the School of Communication, and that was a fantastic backdrop. So the school and the university absolutely were invaluable resources.
And Vince is definitely a unique film because it touches on themes that you feel are lacking in modern-day Hollywood films, such as, how false accusations really can damage a lot of legal cases, and in worst cases, children are used as pawns in those type of legal situations. Why'd you feel a film that touched on those type of topics needed to be made today?
I think it's as simple as the fact that I haven't seen anything like that. I haven't, there hasn't been a film in recent years that I've seen that has touched on, this idea of what happens to a parent after they lose custody of their kids. You know, this idea of parental alienation that I think so many people face, but they don't see the effects of in media. And I think in situations where there's a lot of states where custody isn't necessarily 50-50. When a set of parents gets divorced, and the parents might not receive 50-50 custody. And I think that's a travesty to the kids as well as to the parent that might be losing the most amount of time with that kid. And in most cases, that is the father. And I think that's a travesty that, I mean, we see the effects on kids, we see the effects on the parents as a whole for divorce, but I don't know if we ever really see the effects of what happens to not seeing your kid. What happens to that parent that doesn't have that opportunity to see their kid anymore. And I thought that was a very underrepresented aspect that I wanted to bring to life with this film. Even as little, you know, even though it didn't necessarily focus on the aftermath, but I think that does provide almost a springboard for a potential greater picture.
Of course, and how do you hope to expand the topics you feel are lacking in modern films in your future in Hollywood?
My goal is to become a director of photography, but maybe down the line I would like to revisit this subject. In my conversations with some of the actors, we also spoke about, you know, in potential ways in which this could be developed into a feature. And I think that this is a story that needs to be told, maybe not by me, but I think that it's a story that needs to be told regardless. And I would like the pleasure of telling this story in the future. I think my path is largely going towards cinematography at this point, and I'm developing my career into becoming a director of photography, and that's my ultimate goal. And this semester, I'm the director of photography for two thesis films, one for Josh Scher and one for Emily Rice, both of which I'm very excited about.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Well, this has been Real Talk. I'm Samantha Rodriguez. Stay tuned for our next episode.